Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and we got a Aloha Friday podcast for you guys today. So, two things we're going to be talking about, which is less than what I normally talk about on these live streams and these little shindigs. But I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about Android 12 and the odd quirks that I'm noticing with it. I guess you can say that I don't want to call them bug issues, but they are slight issues that maybe you might have caught, maybe you might have. So this is kind of like a sound off to see if anybody else that has Android 12 beta is kind of facing these same things or have noticed these same things. I am going to be talking a little bit about Apple delaying the CSAM, where they're supposed to photo scan, and their initial intentions was to catch criminals using this method. However, it's been delayed, and I'm going to read the article that talks about it, and just kind of give like my first impressions analysis of what they're saying. So I haven't fully read the article just yet. I'm going to read it live on the live stream to you guys, and then kind of just give my thoughts on it, and then I'll wing it with something else. I pretty much have something else in mind that I want to show you guys, but it's something fun that I think that people can do with photos and Snapseed. So I'll kind of show that to you guys. But anyways, let's kick things off. If you end up catching the replay at this point, hashtag replay crew, so I know that you caught the replay. And yeah, don't forget to smash the like button, thumbs up, and everything like that. Also, yeah, if you have not subscribed to my channel, but you like the content that I am making, please consider hitting the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a live stream or a new video upload. So with that little intro out of the way and everything like that, let's kind of go into the Apple, because I think that's like really big news, right? So Apple delays a rollout that it plans to scan iPhones for child exploitation images, right? All right, so here's basically where it's going at with this. So it says Apple's, and this is quote, the source is a Washington Post. It says Apple said Friday it would delay the rollout of its controversial plans to scan Apple devices for child exploitation images after security and privacy experts warned the software could open backdoor to iPhones, giving governments and even hackers access to the devices without permission. Apple had touted its method of scanning as a privacy enhancement that set it apart from its competitors, but the company seemed unprepared for the overwhelming backlash. Its top executives blamed the public relations blunder on confusion about the technology Apple was using. The controversy began last month when Apple said it would begin rolling out new software meant to catch criminals who trade images of child exploited photos. While the idea was not new, Apple's method was. A database of numbers representing images of exploited children would live on customers' phones, where they would be checked against photos uploaded to Apple Photos, the company's cloud storage service. Other technology companies, including Facebook, Microsoft, and Google, scan their own servers for such material. Apple said it would do the scanning on iPhones using complicated encryption methods to ensure Apple would only ever see a user's photos if 30 or more child exploitation images were on the phone. Once that threshold was triggered, the images would be decrypted and viewed by Apple employees who would verify that the images constituted child exploitation. The Apple customers would be turned over to authorities. Apple spokesman Fred Staines said he would not provide a statement on Friday's announcement because the Washington Post would not agree to use it without naming the spokesperson. What? That's kind of crazy. So they won't give out an announcement, because if they gave the announcement, the spokesperson would have to be named, and Fred Staines did not want to be named. While catching people who traffic in images of exploited children is a noble cause. The idea of giving Apple customers no choice but to have software on their phone that would look for illegal activity was a step too far, many privacy advocates and security experts say. So it goes on. Okay, so all right, let's address the elephant in the room, okay? Because there are two sides to this, just like in everything, and these two sides tend to be warring with each other on Twitter. I've seen the tweets from various different people, those who support it, those who are against it. And look, let's throw Google and Facebook and them out of the equation, because that's not an argumentative point. That was one of the first things that people said. Google, Facebook, they do it. Yeah, they do it. They do it on their servers, right? As Apple said, this particular thing of doing it wasn't going to be a server-side thing. It was going to be on your iPhone, right? So directly on your phone. And now that we have a little bit more info on it, where it talks about it, if the system itself deems 30 plus of your photos to be suspicious, it will then trigger for a manual review, which then with the manual review, if it's determined that it is so, they would contact authorities. And then so people will ask that question, like, you have more than 30 photos of your kids backed up to Apple Photos, and maybe the algorithm reads those photos a different way. They could be far from what anyone would consider to be child exploitation. And it's but it's triggered, right? It's triggered for a manual review, and maybe somebody who runs the manual review side of things feels funny about your photos. So they in fact turn you in over to authorities, creating a whole cluster fudge of a case, and then it boils back down to it's not child exploitation, it's a parent that has photos of their kids, right? Because we've done all kinds of crazy things. I used to be embarrassed at some of the photos that my dad and my mom had. I don't know if anyone else has gone through it with their family, but there's a photo when I was a baby, and there's like a side shot of me on a towel on my dad on my dad's living room, and I'm in a diaper, but you can kind of see my left cheek, kind of. Doesn't mean that they're going to go and sell that photo or it's doing anything illegal with that. That's a family keepsake, in the photo album type thing. And but that could also be misread. Now, we're not saying that it's going to be misread. We're not saying that it in fact is going to to pan out that way. But when you have something like this with an open door of different types of possibilities, you can't rule out a possibility of something happening, right? It's just like they say, sign on the dotted line if you for sure can do this, right? You have to be a straight shooter and be for sure that you can do said thing. You sign on the dotted line, and you won't be sued if you do the said thing, right? It's kind of that thing, right? It's like, can Apple guarantee us 100% that there's a fail-safe and nothing will go wrong? What's up, Gene? Welcome, good sir. Happy Friday, happy Aloha Friday. But can Apple guarantee that there won't be all these possibilities that we think of? Can Apple guarantee that there won't be a mess up? There won't be, and in fact, we can say this: they can't. They can't guarantee you that they will be 100% accurate in catching all the weirdos out there and then excusing all the people who are innocent. They can't. Because again, they're relying on a machine in the front lines to handle this load of stuff. Once it comes to that point, like I said, 30 photos have to be, on the suspicious side for the algorithm that's running this program to then trigger for a manual review of your Apple Photos on your phone. And again, like people say, they don't want their photos scanned on their phone, because some people do things that, hey, you know what, people can go at them for this, but you know what, it's their phone, they paid the good money for it, and they can take whatever photos that they want. So people that are like condemning and criticizing those people who take nudes, those people, those guys who take DPs, you know what I mean? People criticize them, but you know, it's their phone, it's their life. They can do what they want. And if they, and you know, like if a woman takes a nude of herself because you know she wants to be extra saucy for her man, because trust me, there are women who do this. There are women who will take nudes and send it to their hubbies while they're at work, knowing that they're kind of alone at that time, so they can see the photo and nobody will see the photo, but kind of like, you know, spicing up the relationship. People do things like that. Especially, you know, when you get to my age and my old age, you got to keep it interesting. You know what I mean? And so people do that. And when they do, you know, they don't want a company being able to see them at all. I mean, that's the whole point why they didn't even set, you know, the back up the photo, you know, to iCloud, right? Because they can pick and choose, right? If this was only on the on the iCloud side, if this service, the CSAM, was only on the iCloud side, on the cloud server, then people wouldn't be so butthurt about it, because you know, if they took a nude of themselves and they put it in a folder that they didn't have, you know, backing up to Apple Photos cloud storage, they know that their actual main photo, the original photo, is on their phone and not anywhere else for view. How many times have you had issues where people have gone into an Apple store with an iPhone because they had an issue or whatever, whatnot, and we see on the news that so-and-so's in trouble because, you know, he was assisting a customer's issue with their phone, and while assisting them with that issue and trying to correct an issue with the phone, he stole a couple of photos from the customer, and the customer found out. You know, I mean, it happened with T-Mobile, right? T-Mobile got hit with that same thing too. A T-Mobile store rep stole photos from a customer, texted to himself. And so those are some of the things that people look at, they think about. They think about it, they're concerned about it. So those are the concerns. Now, you know, expert analysis are kind of letting Apple know that if in fact that you do this, that it could create a backdoor where government will get access to people's iPhones, and hackers would be able to also. And this was one of the things that Apple strongly was against, was having any type of backdoor for customers' iPhones to be breached. Even the whole thing that happened in San Bernardino, and they wanted the iPhone that contained the messages and transactions and all kinds of things that they knew was on that phone that would lead them to as to why all that went down in San Bernardino. And Apple's response was, we're not creating some sort of backdoor for you guys to get it into that phone to get whatever you guys need. Granted, it's not saying that Apple's anti-American and they didn't want to help America, but they were putting their customers first. And their customers trust them for security. That was one of the biggest things that Apple always touts about, is security. And so they weren't going to bend to big government and create some sort of backdoor. So when you have an analysis come to you and tell you that by doing this, by doing the CSAM, you are in fact, you know, in jeopardy of creating a backdoor that the government and hackers could exploit, obviously puts a delay on this thing. And who knows, maybe it may not happen. Maybe they may scrap the whole idea, because who knows? But at this time right now, those people who are worried about when CSAM was going to launch on their iPhones and such, it's been delayed. So rest easy. You know, unless it's some sort of placebo effect to tell you that they delayed it, but in fact, they've actually activated it and it's actually happening right now. Who knows? But my biggest thing is that when it comes to the internet, nothing is sacred. When it comes to modern day technology, nothing is sacred. So if you're worried about those types of things, then maybe you shouldn't be having those things at all, period. I mean, that's just where I go with it. That's my stand on it. It's just, you know, yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. I always tell my friends that when they're like, oh yeah, you know, like I take selfie nudes, but I don't want no one getting them. How do I protect it? Like, don't do it. If you don't do it, it's never there. You know what I mean? So anyways, yeah, Apple delays that. All right, next up on the order of business, Android 12. it has some quirkiness to it, right? And I'm not here to tear it down or anything like that. It's just some little small things that I've noticed about Android 12 that, it's not really, and some of it's not really Android 12's fault. Some of it is actually Facebook's fault. And I'll get into these things that I've noticed with Android 12 that does not exist. Like if I use a phone that, sure enough has Android 11, I don't get any of these problems at all whatsoever. They're not really big problems. They're just things that I've noticed. And I want to see if other people notice them too, right? So on Android 11, none of these things really happen, okay? First thing is Facebook Messenger. Now, when I open up Facebook Messenger on my Pixel 2 XL, it opens up Facebook Messenger, no problems at all. Now, the thing that I've noticed with Android 12 beta currently at this time is that if I open up Facebook Messenger, let me see if I can actually make it do it. It's not going to do it now because I have opened it recently. But what actually happens, and I'll try to show you guys. Let me see if I can make it do it. Nope. All right, but when you get to your message thread, the whole area will be like whited, right? Like you'll see everybody's profile picture next to the thread, but like where like all the messages are right here, it'll be whited out. So like since the font is white, you won't see anything when that area is white also. And it tends to happen every now and then, especially like if you log out of Facebook Messenger for hours and then you come check back later, it'll do that. And I noticed that it does that with only Android 12 beta. Like I do it on a phone that has Android 11, never happens. I do it on my my LG G Pad tablet, which has Android 9, doesn't happen there. Yeah, I do it on my Pixel XL. It doesn't do it there. And my Pixel XL has Android 10, and it doesn't do it there. Motorola and OnePlus are finally updating their devices to Android 11, and I'm so happy. I have a Motorola One Ace 5G, and it's been updated to Android 11. Cool. That's great. So anyways, yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed with Android 12 beta is that actually tends to happen with Facebook Messenger. It just does that. It does it on my Pixel 3. It does it on my Pixel 4, my 5, my 4A, my 3A. It does it on all the devices that I have Android 12 beta on. It just does that. It's weird, which is a Facebook side. Like, you can't really blame Google and Android for that. That's something with Facebook that they have to fix within there. But it's just kind of funny seeing that you open up Facebook Messenger and you're just like, what the heck? Everything is just whited out. It almost looks like as if someone went in with like digital whiteout and whited out all your message threads in the preview list before you open the thread. And it was just like, it was weird. And that's one of the things that I noticed. Another thing that I've noticed, this happens from time to time, and I'll see if I can make it happen right now. I don't know if you guys saw that, but when unlocking the phone, there's like this weird thing that happens. And I know it has to do with this animation ripple effect that happens. So when you unlock your device with a fingerprint sensor, there's like a ripple effect. And it starts from like right here and rolls down as if it's like, when it's unlocking by biometric. What I've noticed is that when the screen is dark and you hit it, sometimes there's a delay in that effect that right up here where it's dark, when your screen's off and it's dark, you'll see like a white orb, like an orb shape just appear first, and then the unlock happens. It's weird. It's almost as if like it can sense the pressure of your finger. It feels like, when you push on the screen and it kind of has that weird aura around the area you're putting pressure on your display. It looks like that when you unlock it with your fingerprint. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed that. I guess it's kind of hard to catch on here. Let me bring it up really close and see if you guys can see it. It's really weird, and I don't know if it's just me or what, but I'm always seeing it, and I'm like, what the heck? It's like a small bug issue with Android 12, really, when it comes to animations and unlocking your device that is using biometric sensory. It's weird, and I guess it's weird for me because when I see it happening, I'm thinking to myself like, am I putting too much pressure on the back of the phone that I'm about to break the front display? Like that's some of the things that like I worry about when it comes to that. Like I'm just like, whoa, what's going on here? So I'm just like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, that's kind of crazy. But it does it. My Pixel 3 does it. My Pixel 5 does it. My Pixel 4a does it. My Pixel 3a does it. Just the ones with a fingerprint sensor on the back. The 4 doesn't do it because it's facial recognition, so it doesn't do that at all. But yeah, that's just some of the things I noticed with Android 12. That I call them odd quirks. YouTube Studios is actually hanging in a lot longer. Actually, let's test it right now. So the last time I was in YouTube Studios was yesterday. So I'm going to launch the YouTube Studio app right now and see if it crashes. It opened. So it still does crash though. It still does crash every now and then. Hey, look, I got another subscriber, 11,329. Shout out to the new subscriber. But it's holding much better now. I mean, before you would used to use YouTube Studios, and then when you close it out and you come back to it, like maybe like 30 minutes to an hour later, it would just like you tap it and it would crash. And that's not happening right now. It's holding just fine. Every now and then it does crash though. It still does sometimes. Sometimes I have to install it, but I find myself not installing it as much as I would. Hold on, I got to reply to my friend. I have to message my friend back. It's crazy. Oh, right. So, yeah, those are some of the quirks with Android 12. The reason I was messaging my friend back is because I was on Facebook and I decided to do something fun, and so I've been using the photo app from Google called Snapseed, and there's a lot of really cool things that you can do. Shout out to Michael J. Dixon. I hijacked a couple of his photos that he posted on Facebook on the Pixel group thread. And anyways, so for those who follow me on Instagram and whatnot, you guys may have noticed that I've been playing around with Snapseed. I mean, that is the app that I use when I use what's called double exposure. So double exposure basically allows you to overlay another photo on top of a photo you take in, and you can really kind of get more creative with it. The very first testing that I did with Snapseed on Instagram was a photo that I took a couple of months back at Indian Steel Park. I took a shot and I was like, in some of these photos, I look at them and I'm like, wow, that photo would have been badass with a full moon, and But anyways, so I tried it with double exposure. I tried it. So I overlaid. I downloaded a picture from Google, right? So I Google searched, full moons, right? Because I didn't just want to go and snap a photo of a full moon here with my phone. Sometimes you don't even get that real in-depth shot of a full moon. Like you won't see the craters or any of that stuff. You know what I mean? And I wanted a good full moon, so I went on Google. I Google searched for a full moon photo. And I picked one that had no background to it or whatever. It was just like a solid black background with, a full moon centered. And I was like, okay, so the first one was a blood moon and the second one was a full moon. And I downloaded both of those and I overlaid those in a double exposure on Snapseed to the photo and adjusted the transitioning of it. And it put the full moon in the photo as if the full moon was really, really there. And I'm like, whoa, this is fun. You know what I mean? This is pretty cool. So I decided to go forward. And And so I was like, that's pretty cool. So I started to play around with Snapseed a little bit more. So I had a photo that I took. Actually, I can show you guys. I have these photos saved in my Google Photos. So I'll show you the first one I did with the full moon shot. And she's gonna go show her kids. I'll show you the photo that I just did. Let me see if I can find it. Where are they? They should have all been backed up. Let me see if I can find it, because there's a couple of ones that I did. I was messing around with my babe, and I did a couple of on her photos. I overlaid the weekend so it looked like he was with her, and then she was like, "Oh," because that's her favorite singer is The Weeknd. My friend's gonna repost that photo. Anyways, let me just open up my Instagram and I'll show you guys. I had a lot of fun doing these. So the first ones that I did, which was the full moon shots. Okay, so that's one of them. I don't know if you guys we just kind of like lower it away from the screen or whatever, because you guys see the background. But anyways, so that was one of the first ones I did. I overlaid a blood full moon, and I got those results. The second one that I did was this one, which looks, fairly like there's a full moon there when there's really not a full moon there. There was no full moon that night. And I thought, hey, that's actually pretty cool. So the next one I did, I thought, how cool would it be if you were just like traveling down South Mountain, Phoenix, Arizona, on a sunset, and as the sun is setting, it illuminated the visual of the planet Saturn on the horizon. And so then I ended up with this shot. Let me see if I can brighten my screen just a little bit. Oh, it is bright enough. Right, so I took a picture of the sunset on the road. I pulled over, snapped it, and then I overlaid the planet Saturn on the top. So it looks like Saturn is illuminated by the light of the sun setting and the horizon. And I was like, hey, that's actually pretty cool. So, and so right after that, there was one that I did at the Grand Canyon, and it was sunset at the Grand Canyon. I thought, hey, that would actually be pretty cool too. So I put Saturn on the horizon as if Saturn was rising as the sun was setting. And I just started playing around with Snapseed and playing around with double exposures. I mean, here's one where I took me and my mom on Christmas 2014, and it's like overlaid on an old image when I was 15. I got out of juvenile lockup, and my mom was there, and so I stayed with my mom. Rented a hotel in Waikiki to celebrate that I was free. And so I stayed at the hotel with my mom, and so I overlaid it, since I can't see my mom, I really miss my mom a lot. I made that photo and shared it on Instagram. And that's some of the things you can do with double exposure with Snapseed. You can really kind of create these fun photos that I consider to be timeless. You know what I mean? So anyways, the one that I just did with my friend right now, because she's into Halloween, her name is Lori. She's my Hanai sister, and so I was like, I'm gonna go mess with people, because I mess with Michael J. Dixon. You guys know him as Joker Tech. So on Facebook, he posted some photos. Let's see. It looks like okay, right. So I can show you guys like this better, right? So this is Michael's photo that he posted on Facebook, right? And I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to have some fun with him. So I took his photo, and I ended up doing this to it. So I put a blood full moon on the background of his photo, his shot. And I did another one. I took another one of his photos and put it like that. And I mean, if you look at this photo, you guys can go to Facebook. If you guys follow Michael J. Dixon, who's known as Joker Tech. If you look at the photo, it kind of meshes in well, because you got to do some slight adjustments so that way, you know, it feels natural to the photo. So I was having fun with that. And then I'll show you guys a photo that I sent my sis on Messenger. I wanted to mess around with her, so I was like, I told her like you know, like, hey, like I was looking through some of your photos, and you know, there was one that struck me kind of odd, right? All right, so here. No, okay, this is a photo that I was looking at on her Facebook, right? And I decided to, you know, to copy the image. I cropped it, you know, because she doesn't have her photo set for anyone to just download it. So I cropped it. I took the photo, right? And, you know, she's out in the woods. She's out by, you know, on this bridge that like, you know, is over a creek. And I was like, oh, I could probably do something interesting. And mind you, she and I really, really love Halloween. Like, we're like Halloween fanatics. And so what I did was I told her, I kind of messed around with her. So I messaged her on Facebook Messenger, and I was like, hey, I was going through your photos, you know, because you're awesome. And I came across a photo that, you know, struck me odd. And so I saw something. So I decided to fudge the photo and darken it. And holy crap, this is what I saw. I don't know if you noticed this. And I sent that message first, and then I sent the photo that I made. And if you guys look, so she's at the same bridge, but I was able to put a ghost image in the creek, resizing and everything, so it really kind of like has that foreground background scaling, right, to make it believable. And when I sent her that, and I said, hey, all I did was just darken your photo a little bit. I just darkened it a few shades, and this showed up. And I had her. I had her because her response was no way for real, but like, you know, exclamation question and, you know, curious and everything, right? But I wasn't gonna hold the whole charade on very long, you know what I mean? I don't like, I like joking around with people, but I don't like making fools out of people, you know what I mean? And I guess I did a pretty good job fudging a spiritual entity in that shot that who knows, if someone really believes in that stuff, they could literally run around and show people like they have proof, you know what I mean? And of course, all these things, you know, when you look at the at the metadata of the file, you can tell, you know, if it was shopped or not. And so I don't want anyone looking like a fool. So I told her right off the jump, like, no, you know, but I made this for you because I know, you know, we're in September, October is next month, Halloween's around the corner. I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. I know she loves Halloween. And where she lives at, I'm very envious because, you know, she lives in the East Coast area where, like, you know, witchery and stuff like that are like tales of local legends in those areas. You know what I mean? You know, and that having to do with, like, you know, just a town like that, kind of like the setting of that movie Hocus Pocus. You know, when I see photos of like what she takes during Halloween in where she lives at, I'm just like, wow, you know, like they really embrace that Halloween atmosphere and everything, and it can really transform a block into looking creepy as hell. And I'm just like, you know, here in Phoenix, Arizona, we don't have that here, and I'm just like, man, I would love to have Halloween in the East Coast areas and do stuff out there. I'm sure they're really heavy into it. You know what I mean? I mean, anyone that remembers history, the Salem trials, right? Like how many women were, you know, slaughtered because they were accused of witchcraft and witchery. And so, you know, I mean, like she lives in an area that has, you know, like legends and tales of that types of stuff, you know. So ghosts and spirits and stuff like that are not looked at as, you know, like it's BS type stuff. There, you know, people kind of look at that and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, like that could be. So I made that photo for her and I sent it to her on Messenger, and I'm glad she likes it. You know, so definitely big thumbs up. And you know, I'm going to be doing that. Like, I'm going to be snatching people's photos on Facebook and just doing some really weird quirks. But like, Halloween is my thing, and so that was like a beta test phase to see a person's response if I was to like create a ghost imagery in one of their photos. And so I guess that's what I'm going to do. Is go to the people that I know who don't watch my live streams, right? So they're not going to get this info. Plus, I'm like half an hour into it. I know they're not going to sit through 35 minutes of everything I just talked about to get to this point. So I'm safe here. But I am going to snatch people's photos that are on my Facebook friends and I am going to alter it with Snapseed. It really just kind of show people just like how good and how creative can you be. And it's all going to culminate to a video that I am planning to make, which is using Google Pixels for photography and Snapseed to really develop something amazing. Whether you're going to go on the far side and create something that, you know, is considered to be a bit far-fetched, like putting a ghost image in the background, to taking a photo and really enhancing every aspect of that photo that people would think it came from, you know, like a mirrorless camera or a DSLR camera, when in fact it came from a smartphone. And it's gonna be fun making those videos because I am interested in photography. I don't consider myself a pro or even an amateur. I'm like a super califragilistic expialidocious novice. I'm like that far off from people who, like, you know what I mean? Like some of the photos that Alter Tech takes, I could never, like, you know, I mean, I could if I really figured it out. But at, you know, in my stage of how I take photos, I couldn't take photos like how he does. He takes some very amazing photos with his OnePlus 9 Pro. I see it a lot. And yeah, you know, I'm getting into photography into that state, but not the same old plain Jane photography. Like, oh my gosh, you know, here's me at the Great Barrier Reef. Here's me at the Great Barrier Reef. Like, I want to get real quirky with it. So I'm thinking, you know, and I like Halloween scary stuff and stuff. So I'm figuring, like, you know, maybe I can get some photo shots and really kind of like put some imagery together with some ghosts and things of that nature, and really come up with something pretty cool. And so I am going to be doing that and sharing those things like on Twitter and Instagram and whatnot. Just to show people what you can do with, you know, an amazing camera sensor, amazing AI technology for photography, and an amazing app that could help you really kind of get creative with your photos, known as Snapseed. So if you've never tried Android Snapseed, definitely try it. I mean, it's not just Android, it's on iOS too. You can use it with iPhones. I have it installed on my iPhone XS. And yeah, you can use it either or. It's just an application that lets you do more with your photos. Besides the editing that's already in Google Photos, that's, you know, given for Google One subscribers to edit their photos, Snapseed goes a little bit beyond, a little bit more, and you can do really some cool stuff with it and make some really cool things. The limits to the art to the artistry of it is endless. It's boundless. You can have so much fun with Snapseed. I mean, I just have fun right now with my friend. I'm pretty sure, you know, she's probably gonna do something with that photo. Like, whoa! So I'm just like, hey, why not? Why not? All right. So, and that's pretty much what I got for today. I know I posted on Twitter that I was coming together with a video that's going to address, like, you know, some YouTube things. I don't want to talk about it on live. I am going to make it still in a video format, and it's probably going to drop later on tonight. I'm going to record that video here soon and say what I got to say on the subject. And it might ruffle some feathers, but oh well. You know, I think someone needs to address it and say it, or at least shine some light on it so people can see it. That's just me, but that's for a video. It's not for a live stream. Anyways, yeah, I know I haven't really been that active this week, and I do apologize for that. But hey, for those that watched the replay, #replay crew, really appreciate it. For those that came in and watched it live, thanks for coming in. And y'all didn't have to be silent. Y'all could have, like, said something and, you know, joined in on the conversation. But I guess, you know, it's Friday, so people just want to, like, get to their, y'all want to get to your good stuff. Y'all don't want to sit there and talk with Tito. That's totally fine. Totally fine. That's okay. I'm cool. Yeah, hit that subscribe button if you guys enjoyed today's content, today's live stream, or whatever. If you're not already subscribed, and if you are, thank you so much for being a subscriber. And I will see you guys later. Take it easy. And if you're interested in that Snapseed, go to the Play Store or the App Store, download it. I tell you, it's a lot of fun. You can get real creative with it, especially when you start to figure out how to use it. You'll have a lot of fun. Alrighty. As always, law.